But if you don't know how to handle your desires, the same desires can blast you. It's like a powerhouse. So if I have strong thought and desire and attachment, and if I don't get what you have desire, you want to buy a car and wife says, why do you want to buy a car? You have a desire to buy something and somebody in a family says, no need to buy. Why should you buy? What happened? You will love your wife more and more. You know? Somebody went to Socrates. This is just a joke, don't take it literally, please. And somebody went to Socrates and said, Socrates, sir, should I get married or not? Socrates said, by all means get married. Why? Because if you get a good wife, your life will be great. If you get a bad wife, you will become a philosopher. So you know why I am philosopher. Wife is there, I can say that. So there is a strong desire, and somebody create an obstacle for this. It's a flow of thoughts. A flow of thought from object to being, and somebody create a curtain, sustain, retain, and close the thought. You get angry. And anger you are not doing. I'm just talking emotional anger. Externally you don't show your anger. Externally you don't manifest your anger. You're just holding. It goes from the two sides, either through tears or through your mouth. You fire. That's why women have the minimum heart attacks in this world. Why? They keep crying. Emotions. They have strong emotion, but they cry and leave their emotion. But man, because of the ego, how can I cry? And that's what happens. So anger. This is what happens when you don't get what you desire. This is one aspect. Let's take second aspect. When you get what you desire, there's a greed for more. Nothing wrong, please. As long as you have a control over electricity. I'm still bringing that example. Your desires are blessing if you know how to handle your desire. But if you don't know how to handle your desire, it can electrocute you. And if you don't get what you have anger. If you get what you desire, there's a greed for more. And suppose somebody gets less than you. Suppose you got 90% marks. I'm just talking about Indian phenomena. In India, percentage is a big issue. So suppose you got a 90% marks in school. Are you happy or unhappy? Tell me.
Depends on what somebody else has got.
Indeed. Suppose you got a 90% marks and everybody else got 80%. Now? Suppose you got a 90% marks and everybody else got 96% marks. So what is happiness? Suppose you get something, there's a greed for more. And if you get your friends got, there's a very famous Hindi movie, became very popular, cult movie. It's the Three Idiots. In that movie there's this dialogue. See, if your friend loses the examination, you feel sad. I'm sorry, I'm quoting this in Hindi. यदि तुम्हारा दोस्त फेल हो जाता है तो दुख होता है और सबसे ऊपर आ जाता है तो और दुख होता है. If your friend becomes a topper,
you are even more sad.
You are more sad. So there's the arrogance comes. I did it. That arrogance creates more and more. You brood on that idea. The jealousy, that fulfillment, there's greed, there's arrogance. And somebody who get more than you, I have to get more. Somebody got more than you? अच्छा, कब से? No. You feel, actually you say, oh, congratulations. That's, you became the chief in the office. Congratulations, James, congratulations. But internally, jealous. And that creates, and this is the fiercest. In the movie, there's another, I'm quoting movie, the OMG, oh my God, another Hindi movie. He said, we have a fear of God, not the love of God. We live in a fear. At 2 o'clock night, there's a bell rings in your mobile. What is the first thought?
If everyone okay.
What's wrong?
Bad news.
Bad news. Suddenly, I have information for you. What is it? Your maximum heart attacks happens on Monday morning. Everybody waits for Friday night. Nobody waits for Monday morning. Why? You may get a pink slip. In America they call it pink slip. I don't know what they call it in English.
P40.
You get a P40. Why? There is so much fear. We have a fear, and the whole world pumps fear in your system. Take this insurance, take this insurance. Why don't you get this? This is. I'm not saying you should not be cautious, but there is an extra fear. And now I'm going to analyze this aspect because there's a huge analysis. The whole Vedas are nothing but analysis. Rightly, wrongly, that's not a question, but they analyze. And in this emotional aspect, I'm going to analyze only one emotion, and that is fear. And the God says in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 reasons of fear. Prima, can you write? Nothing is mine. I'm just, whatever I'm saying is from the scripture.
Sorry.
Whatever I'm saying is from scripture. This is not my idea that I'm going to give you. This is not my imagination. This is authority given by me through scriptures. So this is, we discuss one idea, thought, greed, desire, etc. If you don't get what you get, if you don't get what you desire, there's anger. And if you get what you desire, there's a greed, arrogance, jealousy, and fear. There are 5 reasons of fear. And that's what's said. The first and the foremost reason of fear is ignorance. When we are ignorant, there are fear. If you have a knowledge, there's no fear. First reason of a fear is ignorance. Second reason of a fear is when you are a destructive individual. Now you can argue with me, you can discuss with me, but I'm giving you the Vedas, the scriptures, which tells us what are the different reasons of fear. The first reason of fear is ignorance. Second reason of fear is when it's destructive. Take all animals who are non-vegetarian animals. Herbivores they call it? Carnivore animals. Carnivore animals have a fear. You go in front of the lizard, there is a fear. But go in front of cow, no fear. So if man is by nature is destructive, if by nature I am a destructive, I will have fear in my personality. If I'm not a destructive individual, the chances of fear is less. The first is ignorance, second is destructive. Third reason of a fear is attachment. When you are very strongly attached to your own, if the tea spills in your own carpet, what happens? What happens? It's like a patch in your heart. And if it's a banquet hall carpet, if your car hits the potholes, your own personal car hits the potholes, what happens? If this is a company car, doesn't matter. Why there's a fear? There's an attachment. There's ignorance. There's destructiveness, attachment. And the fourth reason is when we have selfishness, there is a fear. When you are meeting your boss with a personal agenda, when you meet your boss with your personal agenda, there's a fear factor. What happens? What will happen? But suppose you are representing you are representing a society, you are representing a company, you are representing a group, and then meeting a boss. You will have
Not so much fear.
not so much fear. It's a relative terms. Suppose you are working for your own personal agenda And, okay, take simple example. Suppose you're working for a small company and small company sends you to Birmingham. Where will be your lodging, boarding, food? You're working for a small company. Where will be your lodging, boarding and food? In which hotel? Tell me.
Small B&B.
B&B? Suppose you're working for a Tata in India. Tata is a big company in India, and Tata sends you in England. Where will be your and Tata sends you to India from England. Where will be your lodging, boarding, and
You
stays?
get a flat. No, I think
You're right.
definitely you need to sort it out yourself.
Okay.
Change the policy.
Okay, they changed the policy. Okay, I changed the example then. I have plenty of option, you know. Suppose you're working for a British government.
Hotel. 5-star.
You will go, you are working there as an ambassador. Okay. Where will be your lodging, boarding, and stay?
Definitely Marriott.
First day you will meet the President of India. First day. Even if you are working as a hotel, as a High Commission staff, you will have a company of meeting the President. Now why I am telling you, because Prema's, her father was in High Commission in India. She studied O-level in London. And it's a truth, people don't believe that. In High Commission, when you're working for the Indian High Commission, once in a year, you have a party in Buckingham Palace. You can go to Buckingham Palace and meet the prince and all people there. So every time when she says, I went inside the Buckingham Palace, met the prince, and nobody believed it. Why? Suppose you're working for a government of India, government of British government, they sends you an ambassador. You will be less fearful because you're working for. So the more you are selfish, the more you have a fearful. So if you work for a hard, larger cause, less fear you have. And the last reason of a fear is otherness, very important. The last, not the least, the last reason of a fear in your life. That's the scriptures. I'm quoting it again. It's the 5,000-year-old scriptures which analyzes human mind. The last, you can say, last reasons of a fear is otherness. When you have a oneness, there's no fear, friends. When you have a sense of oneness, there's no fear. When there's an otherness, you have fear. Suppose you are in a Buenos Aires city, near the bank of Buenos River. You're sitting in the bank of Buenos River, and a punks comes and sits next to you. You know punks? In England, it was very popular in 80s.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
A punks comes and sits next to you. What happens to you?
People are scared.
I will
They're
be scared.
intimidated.
I will be scared. If someone comes and sits next to you, I have a good amount of cash in my pocket. I will have a fear. And suddenly you realize he leaves, and a Britisher comes and sits next to you. What happens? Now don't tell me I will have more fear. And suppose an Indian comes and sits next to you. What happens in Buenos Aires, Argentina? And then you realize he's also from Essex. Then you'll go and have a cup of coffee in Starbucks. Now there's no fear. You don't have any fear. Why? You have a sense of wonder. First day in a college, first day in a university, first day in a new job. There's a sense of fear. But once you have a oneness, there's no fear. Not only that, first, after marriage, the first day in an in-law's house, there's a fear. But after that, there's no fear. So once, the fear has 5 reasons: ignorance, destructiveness, attachment, selfishness, otherness. And this fear creates self-delusion. These all 5 things. And this unfulfilled anger creates delusion, self-delusion. Self-delusion, sammoha. In Sanskrit, the word is sammoha. Sammoha means you keep on. It's like you scratch a wound. You scratch a wound, what happens? You scratch a wound, what happens, dear?
Father increases.
What happens?
It hurts more.
What happens?
Self-destruction.
You enjoy first. When you scratch, in the beginning you enjoy. That's why you scratch. But what happens if you keep on scratching? The same wound turns into a ulcer or a big problem. Similarly, when you are in agitation, you keep on lingering on that thought. And that lingering is enjoyable experience. And when you keep on lingering in that thought, you start with self-delusion. What will happen? What will happen to my son? What will happen to my daughter? And you keep on, it's like an old record player we used to have. A record player we used to have, and the record player used to stuck in one place. Mera beta, mera beta, mera beta, mera beta, mera beta, mera beta, mera beta. You have to stop me, otherwise I will continue. And then somebody used to go and remove the lid from there, and then again after some time, and it comes to that same place, mera beta, my son, my son, my son. So your mind gets stuck to one thoughts, and that thoughts creates, when you get possessive of any thoughts, it can be any silliest of thoughts, you get stuck to that thoughts. ध्यायतो विश्रम पुंसा संगस्तेषु विजायते संगा संजायते कामा कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहा सम्मोहा स्मृति विभ्रमात्. When you become self-delusion on that idea, loss of memory, you forget where you are sitting. Especially in homes, in Indian homes, you have negativity going on, brooding on that negative, and you're sitting in the family network, get together, and that anger comes and creeps in, and out of the nowhere you say some idiotic statement. The whole Mahabharata is the symbol of this whole idea. If you see the Mahabharata, it symbolizes that. Anger created delusion, and delusion created loss of memory. What happened when Draupadi uttered the most idiotic words to the Duryodhana? I know few people don't know the background of Mahabharata, but that's why I'm trying to give you the whole story. But it was a one, in Hindi they call it, it's a very important statement. I'm sorry, I'm giving in Hindi. वो दौर भी देखा था ये दौर भी देखेंगे, वो दौर भी देखा था ये दौर भी देखेंगे, लम्हे ने खता की थी सदियों ने सजा पाई. For a moment you lose your temper. For a moment you lose your temper, and the destruction is for eternity. And that can happen when you keep on thinking. Suppose you have an antagonism towards somebody. In family you have antagonism. The thought is of antagonism. You keep on lingering on that thought. This is not fair. Why should I do this? And externally say, Naste ji, naste, naste, naste. Internally,
Not that. Bubbly.
it's a volcano is going on. And that volcano comes out of either through your mouth or through your tears. And if you don't control your emotion, it's like a ladder in a home. It's like a ladder. You put one ball on the top of the ladder. It goes to the second rung of the ladder. You can hold the rung, you can hold the ball there also. But if you don't control that ball on the second rung of the ladder, then it is gone. So first there is a thought, then attachment, then desire. Control your thoughts, filter your thoughts, control your attachment. If you don't control your thoughts, because we don't create a filter in our intellect. If you don't have a strong filter that creates attachment, desire, nothing wrong. If you have a control up to here, it's all right. But if you keep on lingering on that thought, that creates up to delusion. And then loss of memory. Loss of memory means you become very, for you forget the nature has given you so much. This is what I don't understand, friends. We lost memory. This nature has given us so much. Nature has given us so much good. We are not grateful. We are not grateful. It's a true story happened in England. Somebody told me, I don't know if it's happened or not. I used to have a lecture series in Birmingham a long time back. And in the Birmingham Hindi radio, they used to have lectures, my lecture. And he gave me the story, but that's why I'm giving it. There was one man was going through a financial crisis. A man was going through a financial crisis, so he asked all his well-wishers, can you give me 50 pounds? It's an old story. Can you give me 50 pounds? Can you give me 50 pounds? So he asked all his well-wishers. Nobody gave him any money. You know the meaning of well-wisher? What is the meaning of well-wisher? They wish you in a well. So he asked all his well-wishers, can you give me 50 pounds? Nobody gave him any money. So he wrote a letter to God. He wrote a letter to God. God, I'm going through a financial crisis. I'm really going through a terrible, terrible financial crisis. Can you give me 50 pounds? He wrote a letter to God, put it in an envelope, and outside the envelope he wrote to God and posted it in a post box to post office to sorting officer to postmaster. And when the postmaster saw the letter to the God, he opened the letter and the letter was God, I'm going through a terrible, terrible. That was a very pathetic letter, sad letter. So when he read the whole letter, he felt so sad, so sad, so sad. So he told the God, in the letter he said, God, I'm going through a terrible, terrible financial crisis. Can you give me 50 pounds? He wrote a letter. And when a postmaster saw the letter, he showed that letter to everyone in the department. And everybody saw the letter and they felt really pity. It was really pity. And then they thought, okay, we should do something for this guy. And they contributed. Everybody in the post office said, let's contribute and give him some money because he's in really bad shape. So when they all collected the money, and total collection was 48 pounds. How many you asked? He asked for 50 pounds and total collection was 48 pounds. Is that fair enough? 48 pounds is also good. It's an old story, and 48 pounds used to be a good amount of money. So they dispatched 48 pounds to the postmaster, to address. So everybody collected total amount, 48 pounds, they dispatched to the gentleman who wrote a letter. So after a couple of weeks, they got another letter. And the postmaster saw the letter, he opened the letter, and the letter was saying like this, God, you are so kind, so benevolent, so merciful. God, you are so great. I asked for 50 pounds. I know you must have sent me 50 pounds, but this post office people have taken 2 pounds. This is our life, friends. We have so much, but we don't have a gratitude. We don't have a gratitude. Nature has given us so much, but still we crave. I always go to one place. There's a 2-3 spiritual center I travel. Every year I go for a Tirth Yatra, a spiritual center. One is in New York, Times Square, Toys R Us. In America there's a store. In England also you have a store, Toys R Us. And that shop, in Times Square shop, I always stand outside the Toys R Us and watch people, and just watch people. You will find 5 out of 10 kids who comes out of the toy shops crying. Crying. They have 4 bags in their hands. They still cry. I always think that God must be thinking like this to us. He has given so much to us. So much to us, but still we crib. We always crib. So we lose our memory. We don't realize so much as nature has given us. But when our intellect has gone down, drain, we lose our memory. And I don't get this. Everybody got this. I don't get this. This is not true. And that thoughts creep on linger. And that creates a loss of intellect. You lose your intellect. When your intellect is lost, it's a total destruction. And that comes into extreme situation like killing somebody or hitting somebody or making a nasty comments to somebody. That's all happens when you lose your intellect. When do you lose? Because started from a thought. In Japan, there is a Professor Emoto. You can go to googlesearch.com. In Google you can search, what the bleep do we know? It's a very famous American movie. They made a movie on that. What the bleep do we know? You go to Google search. And in that search you write water crystal. There was a professor in motor, he was doing research on some things, and his microscope, there was a snowflake came from outside near the window. He had a microscope, through microscope he was seeing something, and snowflakes came to his microscope, and he saw snowflakes in through microscope, and he saw a beautiful pattern there. He saw a beautiful pattern in that snowflakes. He was surprised, a beautiful pattern. Then he went inside the refrigerator, a fridge, and he took an ice flake from the water, from the ice tray. And he saw the ice flake through that microscope, and that has a different pattern. So he was surprised and surprised. So he went to he did different experiment. All the experiments are there in motor. The professor in motor, what the bleep do we know? They wanted to use 4-letter F words, so they said, if you use this word, they will use the word blip. So they said, what the blip do we know? That's why the movie name came, what the blip do we know? And then he went to a Zen monastery in Tokyo. He took a water from the Zen monastery and freeze those water, and when he saw the water through microscope, that crystal in the water microscope, he was surprised. It was a diamond shape pattern in the water. And then he went to the red light area of Tokyo, where there are lots of prostitutions are going on. He took a water from that area. And when he took a water from the red light area of the Tokyo, and he saw the pattern of that water was totally smashed. The pattern was totally smashed. You can see that pattern in your search. Now he did more and more research on that issue. He took 10 test tubes. On the 5 test tubes, he put up positive thoughts. He put up positive thoughts on the 5 test tubes. And on 5 test tubes, he wrote a negative thought. I hate you, etc. The 5 negative thoughts and 5 positive thoughts. And freeze the water, same water. And he was surprised to see when he put a positive thought, the pattern was a very beautiful pattern. And when he kept the negative thoughts, the pattern was totally smashed. Now my discussion and question to you guys are, what type of thoughts are you entertaining? What type of thoughts are you entertaining? Because as you think, so you become. As you think, so you become. So you are the master of your own destiny. You create your own world. So if in emotions, you control your emotion. If you don't control your emotion, this is the final destination. I'm not frightening you, I'm not giving you any shocking statement. This is what happens, that emotional level. So you need to have a control over your emotion. And how do you control your emotion? Through strong ideas, strong intent. Like a diabetic patient, you are a diabetic patient. What is your emotion says? What is your mind says? You want to eat sugar? And what is your intellect says to you?
Don't eat the sugar.
There's a fight between the mind and intellect. Mind, emotion wants to eat sugar, and intellect says, no, don't do it. Who wins the battle? Who wins the battle? You want to get up and say, high time. You say, okay, it's high time, summer time, I should get up at 5 o'clock for morning exercise. It's high time, extra fat is coming in my stomach, so I should get up early in the morning for exercise. 5 o'clock, alarm rang. What happens? What happens? There's a fight between what is your mind says. Sleep. And intellect says, who wins the battle? No one has doubts there. But suppose you have to take a flight at 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, and now you have alarm at 5.
You get up.
You get up.
Why?
Because you want the flight. You want to make the flight.
The moment your intellect is sharp, you control your mind. You can control your emotions only through strong intellect. You have an office, in your office a boss makes some statement, and your mind want to say something to him, and your intellect says,
That would be silly.
that would be silly. So what happens? You say, okay sir, sure. So you have to make your intellect strong. With money you cannot control your emotions, please. With the money, you cannot control your physical body.